So this is going to be the second last video and the 5th or 6th, I think 5th, no maybe 6th, in my Digital 202 Exchange Advice series. This week's video I have been waiting to do for so long and I'm so super excited. It's like that Brad Pitt meme. You know that one? The one? No? Okay. Travel! All of the travel experiences that I had when I was overseas, tips and things to know and things to take or buy while you're over there. Every time I think about travel, I always think of that Beach Boys song, Kokomo.
Aruba, Jamaica, ooh, I wanna take you. That's where we wanna go. We gotta go.
I didn't really do much traveling in England specifically because I knew that I wanted to go back there afterwards. Obviously I did, you know, your stereotypical tourist day out in London. Big Ben and the bridge and the tower and Piccadilly. I had a giant map which I bought from one of those tourist things and just went across and ticked it off, and then it started raining, so I was just one of those idiots that was holding a map out getting it wet in the rain, but it was good, it was a fun time. The only other kind of weekend trips that I did to Birmingham, because I actually went there to see Amity Fest with all of the UK YouTubers who I am a little bit obsessed with. I went once to Cambridge with a uni trip that was organised for the international students, and I went again with my flatmate. I went punting in the river, which was interesting. I went to London for New Year's Eve, and then on New Year's Day I caught a bus to Scotland. I went to the Scottish Highlands, I went to Loch Ness, I went to Edinburgh. After Scotland, I caught 3 trains and a ferry to Dublin. I went to Kerry for a day, I went to the Cliffs of Moher, I went to Giant's Causeway, I went to Belfast for the day. I went back to London on the 17th of January and stayed in a hostel in King's Cross overnight, and then the next morning at about 6 AM I met up with 40 random people who all turned out to be Australians. It broke me. It broke my ears. I went on a top deck tour to Europe for 20 days? I think just over $2,000, and if you really put that into perspective, you're covered for transport, you're covered for accommodation, all of your meals are included except for like snacks and stuff while you're out. So the only thing that you really have to budget for are souvenirs and extra activities that I wanted to do. I started off in Paris, and then we went down to Switzerland, we went to Florence, we went to Rome, we went to Verona, we went to Pisa, we went to Venice, which was probably my favourite place by far, and I went on a gondola ride on Australia Day. We went to Salzburg in Austria, and it was Mozart's birthday, so we went to Mozart's house and we got to be on Austrian news and eat some birthday cake, so that was really exciting. Prague in the Czech Republic. I was sick by that point in the trip. We ended up hashtagging the trip cough deck by the end because everybody was just dying of emphysema. We went to Berlin, and then we went to Amsterdam in the Netherlands. We went to a sex show which was interesting to say the least. We finished off the tour in Brugge in Belgium, and then we went back to France and caught the ferry back to London. If you're really wanting to do some in-depth traveling where you stay at places for a long enough time to get a sense of the culture, then I probably wouldn't recommend a Top Deck or a Kentucky tour, because I treated it as kind of a tasting platter of all of the different European countries that I might want to revisit in the future to travel more broadly or for a longer period of time, or you know, in summer when it's not too cold to go outside and actually do things. The next part of the video is going to be some general travel tips that I would give to people who are going on exchange or going traveling. Firstly, if you're going in winter, obviously I would say pack warm clothes. There is a weight restriction and luggage size limit if you're on a bus, on a tour bus, so you're not going to be able to take 30 kilos of luggage with you. I took about 15 kilos, and that was still really annoying to lug up and down the stairs at hostels. Just take a rucksack or something like that with the essentials in it and a couple of warm coats and gloves and scarves and stuff like that, and you'll be fine. You won't die. I didn't die. The next thing I would say to be mindful of, particularly in summer, is tourist scams or pickpocketing or stuff like that, especially in Europe. My mum had like a fit before I went over because she found out about the RFID card scanning, so she was like, oh, you have to get one of those anti-RFID blocking backpack bag satchel things to put all your stuff in. So here I go out and I spend $70 on a RFID blocking pouch, and I think I used it once on the whole trip. It was a great investment. I never ran into any scammers or pickpocketers or anything like that. The worst I had was people trying to drag me into their market stalls to buy their stuff, which I did end up doing, so oh well. I'm not really going to go into the culture shock side of things because I already covered that in another video, but just general things like tipping and manners and learning the language and stuff like that is pretty obvious when it comes to travel. Make sure you budget. Even if you want to buy a bunch of souvenirs for your family, there is a limit, A, on how much you can buy, and B, on how much luggage you can take back. I bought a coffee mug for every single place that I went to because I collect coffee mugs. So my philosophy is that when I'm like 80, I can have a whole cabinet of coffee mugs and go out and pick one and be like, this is a nice place that I visited when I was 20. Don't spend too much money on makeup because makeup in Europe is really, really good quality and it's really, really cheap in comparison to the UK and Australia. Between Sephora and Kiko, which I just think is just a holy grail of all makeup ever. I bought like 10 Kiko lipsticks while I was over there. Don't go crazy on little things like cosmetics. I usually have a rule when I go overseas that if you can buy in your own country, then don't buy unless it is significantly cheaper or it is significantly better quality, which is why I will justify all of my eyeshadow and lipstick purchasing. That's what I tell myself to sleep at night. I have heard of Ryanair, and I do know that they are cheap and slightly terrifying to travel with, but you're not going to die if you're only on the plane for like an hour flying from, you know, London to Paris. So if it came down to it, I probably would have flown with Ryanair if I was doing it on my own. I felt like I really needed other people with me in case I got left behind, which we did end up leaving a couple of people behind. One guy got super wasted on absinthe in Paris and ended up going to hospital and losing his passport, and we lost somebody else at a toga party in Rome. He fell asleep in a bush dressed in his toga, and we all left with his luggage and not with him, so he woke up and had to catch the train in a toga to the next country. So don't be that person. Number one tip, find a buddy or you will die. No, jokes. Maybe. If you're going on exchange just to travel, then that's fine, but just make sure you separate your period of study and your period of travel, because if they cross over too much, then one of them's going to be compromised. Some people I know went over a couple of months before their uni semester started and did all their traveling then, and then they just went straight home after the semester ended. You can do that too. It really depends on what time of year you go, what season it is, and how much experience you have with traveling, whether you're comfortable with doing it alone or you want to be with a group or whatever. Also, finances. If you want to do a lot of traveling, you're gonna have to have some extra money on you. It's just a fact of life. I hope this video was slightly better quality than last week's, and I will be back next week with my final video. Oh my god. If you'd like to tune in, then look out next week for that video coming to a screen near you. And as always, if you would like to see more of my face, make sure you click like and hit subscribe, and I will see you when I see you. Bye!